Ladies and gentlemen, podcasting since 2005. You're listening to Gamertag Radio. With your hosts, podcaster Hall of Famer Danny Pena, the always opinionated Paris Lilly, and from outside of the norm, Peter Toledo. This is Gamertag Radio.
All right, so welcome to a brand new episode of Gamertag Radio. This is episode 985, super close to our 1000 episode. And I'm here at Cheddar because I have, what is it you do for Cheddar, Colin?
I'm like segment producer, field producer.
You do everything.
A little bit of everything.
Because every time I go to an event, I always see you like doing all kinds of stuff, man, behind the scenes, man. So yeah, shout out to Colin. Colin, so tell us a little bit about yourself, and we're definitely gonna be talking about the game in a few minutes, which I'm very excited. So
yeah, as I was saying, I'm like a producer here at Cheddar Esports, which is started out as pretty strictly an esports show, but then kind of moved into like gaming at large. And as such, that's why I'm recording with you right now. I'm trying to do a little bit more coverage in that realm and, you know, analysis and critique and that kind of thing, rather than just like, here's what happened, you know? So,
well, we're going to be talking about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. This game was developed by one of my favorite studios, Respawn, which they worked on multiple titles. Titanfall 2, which is the best first-person shooter campaign ever, if the digital resident.
Yeah.
Also, they worked on Apex Legends, and this is their first third-person gameplay like this of Star Wars. So originally it was DICE that were working on Battlefront 1 and 2.
Right.
Are you a fan of Star Wars games? Like, let's go back on your first Star Wars game that you played. Your favorite one so far?
So, I mean, like, I will preface this entire conversation by saying that, like, I'm a man who owns 2 lightsabers, like the Force effects, like fancy ones.
Oh, so you're hardcore.
Yeah, like I'm a big Star Wars geek. So, I mean, like going like way back, like me and my buddies would play X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, like on PC.
Damn, that's an old
like
one.
on 56K dial-up, yeah, and like, you know, because it was like kind of like open world but in space, and like you could just like you'd be flying around, and it's like, oh, there's a transport ship that's being attacked, or blah blah blah, or like, and we had different, like we had like squadrons and leader names, and like, yeah, we went hard because we were like, I guess like I was 12 to like 14 or so. This was like late 90s. So that's up there. Shadows of the Empire on 64 was another one I spent a lot of time with. The Rogue Squadron games, I think, also on 64.
Yo, the first one was amazing.
Yeah.
And you had the memory, the one that the expansion, the one that makes it. What was
like,
the call of it?
I
what was
forget,
it called?
but it was like the cube that you put in the. Or
but it had it will make the game enhanced,
right?
For that console, yeah. But it wasn't. It was very slow at times playing Rogue Squadron. I remember.
Yeah. Other than that, I guess like KOTOR, right? Knights of the Old Republic.
I was about to say that. Do you like 2? Do you like part 2?
I like it, but it wasn't 1. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
one was
the story in 1 was like incredible.
Yeah, and the rumor is, which I don't know if it's true or not, but supposedly Disney might make a trilogy based on Knights of the Republic.
That'd be awesome.
Like after the story, like after the time.
That was apparently they were saying, like, because they originally brought on the Game of Thrones guys, right?
Yes.
Whatever the names are.
Yeah.
And they were saying that, like, oh, they're pitching like an Old Republic story, and I was like, oh crap,
dude, if it's like that.
Yeah. But apparently they got kicked off the project or whatever happened. Yeah.
Well, I think they quit because they supposedly they have so many projects right now. They're working on something else too for Netflix, and
I think Netflix just cut them a fatter check.
Yeah, like, yo, forget about Disney. Come to us. Come to the dark side.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What else beyond that?
This one from the original Xbox and I believe PC. Republic Commando.
Yeah, that was like a squad game, right? And
yes.
Had, like,
it was not that bad.
Yeah, it was pretty solid. I liked it.
Pretty solid, yeah.
The Jedi Outcast games with what's his name, Kyle Katarn was the Jedi in that one.
Yeah.
And then like I guess before this, like I played a good bit of the Force Unleashed games, and then
I have mixed feelings about that.
Right, same
about
here.
That game.
I tried my hand at what was the BioWare MMO?
Something Republic.
Yeah, like Old Republic.
Old Republic, yeah.
Something like that. Which was okay. I just never really dove too hard into it. And then I tried the Battlefront games, but like I don't want that out of Star Wars.
Yeah,
Like,
I went to Sweden to play the game before they even showed the trailer.
oh wow,
So I was there because EA and DICE invited us. It was like 20 of us,
yeah,
and I'm thinking, yo, I can't wait to check out the story.
right,
Yo, we get there, and they told us, look, it's not. We just want your feedback about the game.
right,
So when we got to see it, and they told us, oh, it's a multiplayer game. There's no story. I was disappointed. Like Star Wars,
right,
Star Wars, it's all about story. It's not multiplayer.
yeah,
And we gave that feedback, and then they added single player for the second game, which it was decent. Wasn't
Yeah.
that bad.
It was a solid-
Multiplayer was again with
right,
but yeah, Janina Gamakar was the main character
yeah,
for Battlefront 2. Shout out to her. And yeah, again, I think people forgot about talking about the story because there was so controversy with how they monetized
right.
the game and everything. Yeah, microtransactions and all that. Yeah, it completely killed the game. So
I think a guy that. So, did you ever listen to Rebel FM, that podcast?
Mhm.
It's like Arthur Geis and Anthony. Forget his last name.
Mhm.
But there was a guy, Mitch Dyer, that I don't think he's on it anymore, but I think he co-wrote the campaign for Battlefront 2, which I was like, oh, this actually sounds decent. I picked it up, and I was like, it's just Battlefield, but with lasers, you know?
yeah.
You
You know, my thing, trying to reload, I forgot. Hey, this is Star Wars, like
right.
because I'm so used to playing Battlefield. Like
Right.
oh, shoot, reload.
Yeah.
So when I started playing that, I was like, no, you can't do that in Star Wars. Yeah. No.
But yeah, I guess that's that was probably the last game I messed with as far as Star Wars goes, and then this game, of course.
Now, when Respawn and EA announced that they were working on a Star Wars game, where you were like, oh, wait a minute, it's Respawn? Or you were like, question mark, EA has a lot of history that's kind of meh with Star Wars games, or what? Like, how was
Right.
your feelings
So, like,
about that at first?
EA hasn't been kind to the license, as we know. Seeming like they've been like mailing it in almost. But when they said Respawn, I was like, well, crap, because like every game they've made has been great. And then I was like, wait, they haven't made a non-shooter yet, right? So
Yeah.
we'll see. But I was hopeful, and like based on what they had shown, I was like, this looks great. What was the one that was? It was like a third-person like open world part, like
Well, this was Lucas.
right,
They were working on it. LucasArts.
right,
They shut down. But it was Star Wars something. It was like a year, 2013. No.
yeah. And it was supposed to be like an RPG. 20.
It reminded me of like Uncharted.
Right.
That type of vibe. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my God. You guys are going to kill me. Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
forget the name. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember that was like people were hyped about that. I was excited, and then it got axed, and then I was like, oh, what's going on? And there was like a year and a little bit in between, and then they announced the Respawn one. So I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was I know that when they announced it, there was another game too that another studio were working on. I think the one from Redmond. Redwood in San Francisco, California. They were working on another Star Wars game, but that one got canceled. So I was like worried, like, man, this is not looking good, man, for the Star Wars franchise. Like for game wise, So now let's go. You purchased the game.
Yep.
You play this going blind, not knowing anything about the game, or you did some research before going in.
Actually, I think the only thing I really knew was like the era. Like it was
5 years. 5 years after
The Purge, right? Like episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I know that, and I knew the kid from Shameless was playing the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I didn't know. So I was like, I mostly went in blind. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like this. It seems like Respawn almost like they took this like bubbling cauldron. And they're like, all right, let's throw in a little bit of Dark Souls. Let's throw in a little bit of Metroid, and like a dash of Uncharted on top of it or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in like the lead up, the week or so, 2 weeks before release, I was like, this sounds like it could bubble over and be a mess, or it could be great.
Mm-hmm.
And, it turned out to be pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
I think they nailed the Star Wars feel, so to speak. It's an adventure game, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
I think, whereas, for example, Battlefront, I was like, oh, this is it's a shooter with a Star Wars skin on it. Like, you're just wandering around murdering things.
And cameos left to right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, this doesn't feel Star Warsy to me. Whereas, like, I think the thing with this one is
Mm-hmm.
there's downtime almost, like you're platforming or you're looking for a chest or you're exploring or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not just constantly like slashing or shooting or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's a lot of. There's also a lot of goofy interaction with the droid BD1 and like some of the characters. The pilot's name is Grease, right? The little green
Mm-hmm.
dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The main character, Cal.
yeah.
That's his
Cal
name.
Kestis is I guess when the game starts, he's technically a Padawan,
Mhm.
even though his master's apparently dead.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel they really nailed the Star Wars spirit. And speaking of Cal and what's his name? Something Monahan, the actor.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of his name. His performance was great.
Very funny character too, man.
Yeah, the woman from Mad TV is
Yes. Yeah, I forgot her name. I know what you're talking about.
Wendy.
But I think she was she. Did she work on other games too?
She's been in and she has like several slated for the next like 2 or 3 years. I don't know how she broke into game performance, but like
yeah.
it seems like she's
pretty
doing
good.
it big. Yeah, she's
doing-
great.
Yeah, really good.
Her
Really
whole
good
arc is really cool. Like I said, I like Grease.
Mhm.
The part with when you realize it's her former Padawan and all that, like yeah,
Mhm.
like all the main, even the witch, I forget her name too, the Night Sister.
Nice sister.
She joins the crew eventually. Like yeah, all the performances are great. The mocap's really great. Like
Have you seen the video, the behind the scenes, how they started, like how they were acting?
I saw him in like the bubble suit thing, the
Yeah,
orb
yeah.
suit, and that kid's pretty acrobatic. Like,
Yeah.
I guess he was doing a lot of it himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like his hair flipping around, and the I will say, like, for a game that had a lot of things that were like physics objects, the poncho he's always wearing,
Mhm.
like it looked like crap, and the wind, like when it was blowing, it was just very like static and stiff,
Mm-hmm.
which is weird because his hair was like really great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall, I mean, it's definitely a game of the year contender for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I definitely have to say this because I hope that
Yeah.
let's not mention too many of those spoilers because I want
Sure.
people to be surprised. Because I went blind playing this.
Right.
But the thing that was very mad, and this was maybe a week or so, because they were promoting Black Friday, like the sales.
Sure.
I don't know who to blame. I don't know if it's Xbox, EA, or Disney, but there's a commercial where there's a major spoiler
Oh,
of the
man.
game in there. I'm like, why would they do that? Because I think going in blind, not knowing anything about the story, just maybe you've seen the trailer and that's it.
Yeah.
It was like one of the best experiences. Like it's like you're watching Empire Strikes Back, and you see what happens, and then you're like, what? That was my reaction. Even with Knights of the Republic,
Yeah.
there was a moment in that game that was like, no freaking way. Like,
Right.
what?
Yeah.
So there's a major spoiler. So if you see a commercial where it is promoting Xbox One, the bundle of Star Wars,
Yeah.
Jedi Fallen Order, do me a favor. Skip the commercial. Don't watch it. Turn off the
Avert
TV.
your
Change the
gaze.
channel. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
major spoiler. But I just want to say that very quick.
Fair enough.
Now my question: did you customize your lightsaber? Because I did a lot, many times.
Yeah, so I with these kinds of games, whenever it presents a choice and the game tells you, oh, you should go this way,
Mm-hmm.
and there's that other option, I almost always go the other way. I'm like, you're gonna tell me what to do. I'm gonna go check this other stuff out. So I went to Dathomir first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And another potential spoiler if you don't care if I say it. But
It's like a major spoiler. Like,
no, but
oh yeah. You can say it.
so
That's
yeah,
fine.
if you go to Dathomir early on, you can unlock the double-sided lightsaber pretty early. The
Mhm.
thing is to get there, you have to grind against Dathomir for, I died probably 15 times getting
Mhm.
there. But yeah, I eventually I made the blade green, kept it green most of the time, and then I think I don't know what I triggered, but I unlocked like all the colors at some point, and I switched it to like indigo
Mhm.
for like the last, let's say, 5 hours of the game. But
Mhm.
yeah, it was any opportunity I had to like find a workbench and tinker with it, I would like see what options I had unlocked and like
Mhm.
mess with it. So yeah, it was
Now, for you, did you play the game normal difficulty? Because here's the thing: when I started playing the game, I noticed maybe because I wasn't used to the controls, I wasn't used to the game at first. So the game is pretty tough. If you just go in
Oh,
there,
yeah.
it's tough. But I think once you start unlocking skills, and then you get used to the controls and And the thing that I like, it also there's like a tutorial that tells you like how to use certain power, certain like way, the way how you fight with your lifesaver and everything, and also your powers that you get later on. That helped me, but at first I was like, man, this game is tough. So there is difficulties where you could change to like story mode. I think that's the easy one. That one, if you just want to play because of the story, go with that. There's a little bit challenging, the normal one, and then there's like the most difficult one, which is tough. So I finished. I changed the difficulty a couple of times because I wanted to see how it is. Yo, the hardest one is tough, man. Really tough. So when I got to play a game like Quantum Break, I played on the easy difficulty at first because I wanted to get used to it. Once I finished it, I played for the second time, and I put it the hardest difficulty, and I finished the game again. So how was it for you? Like you started normal all the way, or you changed it a couple times?
Yeah, I think so. It was like story mode, Jedi Knight, and then Jedi Master, I think, right?
Something.
And I guess Knight was the middle one, so that's the one I picked. And I'm a huge like Souls head. I played all the Souls games. Well, I played Bloodborne. I didn't really like it nearly as much as I like Dark Souls or Demon Souls. And they definitely mimic that combat in this game. I will say, overall, yes, the game is challenging. The reason why I found it challenging, I think, is because with the Souls games, it's very exacting. Animation priority and it's a question of reading the different enemies for like their parries or what have you, but you can build your way around the ways you don't necessarily want to play or engage in the combat. Whereas with this, it was like learn to parry or die.
Yes.
If you couldn't parry the enemies, and they all had different windows depending on which attack they were hitting you with. But then there would be it kind of felt like they never quite nailed what they were going for, and I found it a little frustrating from time to time. But eventually, like you said, and in that sense, they nail. Oh, I'm this Padawan who is going on this adventure and becoming a Jedi Knight, right? I'm getting more powerful, and the combat becomes. I mean, it does become easier, but it becomes more strategic. Like you have a lot more options available to you. Like I know later in the game, I was like re-exploring different parts of the planets and like looking for, because there was one boss fight where I was like, I don't have enough stim packs. Like I need to go unlock more. So I went to go find like 2 more. And when I was traveling back through, it was like, oh, this was hard as hell the first time. And now I'm just like, boom, jump on a platform, throw 3 of the guys off, cut one in half immediately. Like, yeah, so they made the power fantasy very fun to realize, I guess.
And one thing that I love to do, I just walk around, and once I see the droid that's like looking at a location, then you can scan it, and I believe that also will unlock like it's like a history of certain things that you find. I was doing that a lot. So it was that, trying to change the lifesaver all the time. Also upgrading the droid, you could do that too.
Yeah.
Send us your feedback or questions. Give us a call at 786-273-7GTR. Email us at fanmail@gamertagradio.com or leave a message on speakpipe.com/gamertagradio.
Was there anything that you didn't like about the game? Because I know there was a lot of bugs, man. A lot of bugs. But it wasn't... I know there was one bug for certain people. I never went through that they got stuck in a certain area and they had to restart the game because of that. Did that happen to you or no?
I didn't have any game-breaking bugs. I think from front to back, I probably spent 35 to like 40 hours with the game. I hard crashed... Or excuse me, I didn't hard crash because that would mean it would lock the system. I soft crashed twice in those 40 hours. Like it would just crash to the OS, right? And by the way, I played on a PS4 Pro. The performance was pretty good, but yeah, there was a lot of like technical issues. Either the thing I noticed the most was spawning issues. Like enemies either wouldn't spawn or they would spawn in like T poses, or you would.
See, I didn't get that at all.
Or you would walk past. Like there was one point in Dathomir, I remember specifically, I knew that like I go up this little like stairwell or whatever, and there would be a guy who'd walk out at the top, and then another guy comes out from another alcove behind you and whatever. So I got up there and I'm like, what the hell? Like, where are they?
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, I guess I'll keep going. Cue me getting shot to death in the back because they spawned like 5 seconds later or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of that, a lot of pathing and AI issues. The frame rate would never get horrible, but it would dip here and there.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I noticed, another big thing that I noticed a lot was like random load hitches, which was weird to me because the game was otherwise really great about masking loads, right? You'd sneak into those corridors where you had to squeeze through,
Mm-hmm.
or you'd be in an elevator and it would load while you're in the elevator, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes like you'd go to like a bay door, right? Like it's like going from inside to outside, like on Kashyyyk, I remember. And the door would like crack a little bit, and then you'd stand there for like a minute while it put the little load symbol in the bottom right, and then
it just stays there for a little bit.
And it's just locked
that
up,
happened
yeah.
to me. There's a couple of things I don't like about the game. Like one is, let's say you're in an area and you kill all the enemies.
yeah,
And remember, most of the times you have to go again to that area because maybe where you were going, maybe it's like a secret location. You find like certain things, then you have to go back. I don't like that the enemies that you just killed, it pops up again there in the same location. I don't like that. Like usually in some games, once you kill them, you see them like maybe laying down on the floor,
Yeah.
keep on. But sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I have to fight. Sometimes I just run and escape. I just don't want to do that again. And sometimes what I didn't like, when you die, loading time. I have an Xbox One X.
yeah.
Most of the time, these games loads pretty fast for that
Right.
system. I don't know if it's the same for the Pro, but
Yeah.
it was like, oh my God, why is it taking so long? But it wasn't like that a lot. It was just certain times when you die in certain areas in the game.
I would say the like from a respawn, let's say, the
Mhm.
load times could be pretty brutal. Like sometimes like as much as a minute and a half.
Yeah, I'm like,
depending
whoa,
on the
what-
level, yeah.
Yeah, what the hell's going on? Yeah.
And the respawn thing, that's like that's souls through and through.
Mm-hmm.
Like what do they call them? Meditation points, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Dark Souls, they're bonfires, and if you go, and the key was if you rest, like you refill your stim packs and all
Because
that,
you're there for like a hours or a day, whatever.
all the
Yeah.
enemies respawn.
Yeah.
If you don't rest, they'll still be dead wherever you killed them.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, usually it was like, oh, I'm out of stim packs, I got to rest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it because it was kind of it was always like a wheel to get more experience, which was good.
Mhm.
Also, you're talking about the scanning and all that. Every little thing gives you XP at least, which is cool.
Yes. Mhm. Which help you to unlock new skills.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The in that sense, I wish like the skills were great. The skill tree was all like you're adding, excuse me, like little moves or flourishes or whatever to your repertoire. Let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But there was, and I guess you're a Jedi, you're going to use a lightsaber, right? But there was next to no like loot, like no armor that gave you stats, no anything you found or unlocked in that realm was all cosmetic, which is fine ultimately.
Yeah.
I just wish there would have been like more of that sort of stuff.
You get the regular edition, or because EA sent me the one like the one that has like a bunch of extra stuff in there,
Yeah, I think I just got
cosmetic stuff. Yeah.
the standard edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also there's if you go to the extras, you will get to see like how that's why I mentioned about the behind the scenes documentaries and commentary.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should definitely check that out. That's fine. You should definitely check that out because you will learn more about like how they worked on the game and everything, man. So the music in this game, your
man.
thoughts about that, man? Because there was parts in the game that when there was like, you could tell, it reminded me of like Star Wars when there's like a part where like they're joking, it's like a little comedy, the mood of the music changes, or when there's boss battles or certain areas where something is going on that they're going after you and you're like sliding down. It reminded me a lot of like there's certain parts that remind me of Timefall 2 and Timefall, which is like running wall and everything.
Yeah.
So what are your reaction about that, man? Because I got goosebumps in certain parts in the game, man.
Yeah.
It was
So
really cool.
a big part of Star Wars is the music, right? John Williams, he's an incredible composer. And I now that I think about it, I don't think I checked to see if it was John Williams, but the music in this game was incredible, and it really did well to not only set the like that Star Wars feel that I was just talking about, but more so just the excitement of it, right? Like you said, flying down the thing, batting away laser bolts and all sorts of stuff, and it was very dynamic. Like when I remember there was one part on Kashyyyk, I had just done that. Like I fought a bunch of guys, jumped down a slide or whatever, and then landed in this lagoon. And as I was like swimming around, the music definitely came down. It was a little more chill, and it was like, okay, I can look around and like explore a little bit rather than have to murder more guys.
Yeah. What was your favorite thing to do using your lifesaver in the game? Because I'll tell you mine's is like when you push the enemy, I'll pull him back in and I just stab him with the lifesaver. I will do that a lot.
Yeah.
You?
Honestly, so I at some point I think I unlocked. You can deflect laser bolts, right, and like hit the guy with his own shot. When you have the double-sided lightsaber, as long as you hit the first one, if you held it down, you could deflect as many shots as guys were still shooting at you. So I would I'd nail the first guy, kill him, and then they'd all shoot, and then they'd all be dead in like 30 seconds. Yeah, that was definitely probably, or just the lightsaber throw, like that's always clutch, right? And then I think you can extend the range on it eventually.
Yes.
So yeah, like it was nice. Like across gaps, I'd be like, well, and just kill the guy or whatever. But yeah.
So did you unlock all the skills? I only had like 3 or 4 left.
I think so. Last night, like I finished Saturday night, I think. Like I finished the story. And I just like playing the game, so I've been going in and like trying to find the chests and stuff that I missed. So I think there's like 2 skills that I haven't unlocked just yet, but most of the other stuff I have.
Yeah. You know, as a Star Wars fan, this has been like one of the best month or days being a Star Wars fan, because there's so much content. There's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, then there's the Mandalorian, and now the new movie coming out.
Right.
It's just like, wow, like we have never seen this before. But usually you might see like one book here, a movie there, and that's it. But man, that's like a lot of stuff going on, man. You know, so as a Star Wars fan, because you say you're very, very hardcore, like how satisfying are you as a fan?
Yeah, I mean, we're in this this crazy period, and it's a blessing, right? Like there's so much quality Star Wars stuff going on right now, and like you said, The Mandalorian is great. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. It's actually a really great Star Wars story so far.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be 8 episodes. We're on the 4th one will be this week, I think.
Yeah. So it's like half. No, actually, this was chapter 5 coming up.
Oh, okay. So I'm pumped for the new movie, of course.
Yeah.
And in that sense, this game, it really, like I said, it nails, I guess, what I think it means to be like a Star Wars story. And front to back, it was great. Like I said, the music, the characters, the humor. Like Star Wars is always a little tongue-in-cheek. And they nail a lot of that stuff, and like to the point where they even had, I think it's on like Bogano, right? Was the name of that one planet, and he has that like facing the dark side moment. I don't want to spoil anything. That's key to almost every like main Star Wars film, right? Like Luke in Dagobah when he cuts down Vader and he sees his own face in the mask, or in, I'm not sure if it was, I think it was the last one, The Last Jedi, where she's in that like infinity shot where she sees all the reflections of herself. Because she went in that like weird hole. Yeah, it is Last Jedi. Because
was it Last Jedi?
Remember, because Luke's like, don't go in that weird hole.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was The Last Jedi. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So like that was, I didn't, and it's funny, I was like, why does this feel so familiar? Oh, because it's like a key like Jedi moment for yeah, and like I was saying before, I think like between the puzzle solving or like just the exploration, looking for stuff, like they do well to break it up. So it's like I'm existing in this like space inside the Star Wars universe rather than just like, oh, they slapped some Star Wars paint on it, you know. Yeah, it fit really well. I like the characters a lot. I like Cal. You know,
and it doesn't feel forced like the previous games. Like, hey, we have to add this character. You know, this one, like it flowed pretty good, and I just love that. It reminded me a lot of like Tomb Raider, Uncharted, like that type of vibe with the puzzles and action and explosions and all this stuff.
Yeah,
it was good, and yeah, I do agree. Like this should be contender of game of the year for sure.
Yeah,
this game is so good, and I highly recommend it, man. Like even if you're not a Star Wars fan and you're just a fan of just games like Uncharted and Tomb Raider, you should definitely check this out. What to you is contender game of the year?
I mean, Fallen Order is definitely on my list. I don't know where it necessarily fall. We're as I was saying before we started recording, like we're working on our own Game of the Year content, and we're trying to figure that out. And I run into this every year where you're like, oh man, like what are the best games I played this year? And then you think back to like January or February, and you're like, whoa, like there's a lot more games to consider. And I'm trying to keep in mind, like, yeah, I am a Star Wars nerd, but I mean, like just from a AAA front to back fun experience, like, yeah, it's probably in my top 5, I'd say. But you were asking like beyond Fallen Order, or
no, just that game alone. Like why?
Yeah.
Because before we started, actually when we started recording, you said, "Oh yeah, Game of the Year, contender Game of the Year."
right? Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask why you felt that way.
Right. It's just I never to say I never thought about it is not the right way to put it, but like I was in it front to like I was deep in it immediately. Like I wasn't considering like, oh, this is a video game. It was just like, yeah, Star Wars adventure. Woo-hoo,
Yeah.
having a good time.
Yeah.
That said, like we were saying, that some of the technical issues, for the sake of like Game of the Year contention, you have to think about that stuff.
But I think
it was never enough to like sour the experience for me. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but I think there was more good than bad in the game.
absolutely, yeah.
So that's why I'm like, you know
100%.
what? Besides the bugs, Game of the Year for sure for me.
Totally.
Contender Game of the Year. Not the best, but yeah, it's up there.
Yeah.
It's up there, man. Anything else about the game, man? Hopefully we might see a part 2 from Respawn because, man, they did a great job. Now I'm like, I'm all in now.
Yeah.
When Respawn announces the next Star Wars game, like,
right.
I'm in there day one for sure. You?
Yeah. Without spoiling much, they do kind of leave it a little open-ended. Which is good because to see this cast of characters like running around again would be great. So I don't know if it's going to be like Fallen Order 2 or something like that, or if they just tackle some other story within the Star Wars universe. That'd be cool too. So yeah, I'm pumped. Like I said, this game left me satisfied. I think, given the era it's in, it's like it's crammed up against like Rogue One and like Rebels and all this other stuff. I mean, I'll keep my mouth shut. Another spoiler, but yeah. So like they have cameos that play into that period and all that sort of stuff. So like they did well to tie it in. And I think like, yeah, if this is an indication of what's to come, then like, hell yeah, I'm on board.
Yeah, definitely, man. Anything else? I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, kind of a critique, I guess, but the map annoyed the hell out of me.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay. It's
acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, there's not that many planets in the game.
Right.
But the thing that I like about going back to that planet is once you have certain skills, it will allow you to discover new areas in the game.
Very Metroid.
Yeah, so when you go to, you're going to have a ship, and the ship you see like a hologram of all the planets where you like to go. And I love that part when you pick a planet and you're traveling to that planet, the characters having like a regular discussion while it's loading in the background. See, that I like.
Right, yeah.
That's cool. So once you're ready to head out and land, one of the characters will tell you, okay, man, hey kid, sit down. We're about to go. So you do that, and then once you go in, each planet will say like the percentage of each places that you found, like secrets or whatever. Everything is there, so it's cool. I was doing that a lot. Like, okay, I've been to this planet, I'm almost done, but let me go to this one.
Yeah,
I was doing that a lot. You were doing that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think, like I said, I got to one boss where I was just getting my ass kicked. And it was like, I need more health. Like, I need more stim packs to get through this fight. So I went back and explored a couple of the planets. So yeah, being able to like, oh, here's this new area, and given that aspect of the game, the Metroid-esque sort of thing, Metroidvania, let's say, of like, oh, go revisit this area, and now you can go to different parts of it. That's the part where the map annoyed me, because like navigation is a really big part of the game, and like while it would highlight, it'll be like, oh, this is green now, you can go through here, or this is red, you still can't go through here. And I'm like, how the hell do I get there?
I didn't like
no fast travel. Holy crap, that was annoying. But.
Yeah, but I you know what? I think I have to agree with you about once you're in the location, like you land on the planet and you pop up with the map of the actual location.
Yeah.
I don't like that setup. Like the way how it looks very confusing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Though that said, the no fast travel was irritating because sometimes you're like, I know exactly where I want to go, and I know there's a meditation point there or whatever. But once you unlock enough of the like skills and like the navigational type powers and all that, just running around the levels is great. It's fun. Like you're like, I'm a Jedi. I'm doing flips and running along the wall and swinging on ropes,
double jump and
yeah.
yeah.
So like, it's really not that big of a complaint, you know. It's
Yeah.
but yeah, I would say total game of the year contender for me. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's like a must buy. Honestly, like it tells a great story. It really makes you feel like you're in the Star Wars universe. You're playing as a Jedi.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a blast.
And let's keep it real. This is like the first single player campaign in a very long time.
Yeah.
Because usually companies will always have the multiplayer. But let's make some money, multiplayer.
Right.
This is an example that not every game needs to have multiplayer, man. I'm
Agreed.
happy with this. Great story.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps left to right throughout the game.
Yep.
And at the end, once I finished it, I was like, okay, this was legit. I love this. That made me also wanted to go back. Because once you finish the game, you could still continue and unlock the skills, go to the different planets and all that. Well, you were doing that too, or you just stopped playing it after that?
No, I like I said, I finished it like Saturday night, and what is it, Tuesday? So yeah, each night since I played like another hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I just enjoy being in that like world and like being able to like like a stormtrooper rolling up at me and like throw him off a cliff or cut him in half or you know.
Now playing after finishing this game, are you even more hyped now for Mandalorian and also Star Wars because of it?
Oh yeah. And there were nights where like I would watch the new episode and then it's like, all right, I'm in the mood for Star Wars, time to play some Fallen Order. Yeah, it was a good time.
Cool, man. Well, Colin, man, I just want to say thanks, man. It was a great conversation. Just us talking about the game, man. If people want to follow you or also promote Cheddar Esports, man, people want to check it out, man.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it was a pleasure recording, of course.
Yeah, as always.
But yeah, I'm on Twitter at Ziggy Starbutts. It's a play on Ziggy Stardust because I am weird. Cheddar Esports is on Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 Eastern on Twitch and on the Cheddar channel if your cable provider has it. There's also an app if you have like a Roku or a Fire Stick or that kind of thing. But yeah, check us out. Hit us with a follow on Twitch. You know, do your thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Colin.
Yeah, of course, man.
All right.
Thanks for listening to Gamertag Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.